You are listening to the 10-Minute Checkpoint podcast featuring me, SanchoWest. We're talking about video games, movies, anything underneath the sun that I find interesting, and sometimes that includes sports and wrestling as well. Before we begin the 10-minute timer, I wanted just to remind you two things, that this is the second episode on YouTube, so if you're listening on Spotify or SoundCloud, you could go ahead and come to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/SanchoWest, to check me out. Also, if you are a fan of The Last of Us, especially The Last of Us multiplayer factions, a new video went up about my Last of Us Day reactions. It's on my YouTube channel. You could definitely check it out. So let's go ahead and start the show and put 10 minutes on the clock. Here we go. All right. 10 minutes is here, and I have to talk about the latest Halo Infinite flight. The previous flight, I missed it. I was able to be a part of it. But this flight, I was able to, and this flight had to do with the PC side of things. So I got in the flight. I was able to play about 2 days worth, so maybe about 5-6 hours of playing the new Halo Infinite on a PC, on a very comparable PC, a very powerful PC. And the lack of a better term, I would definitely have to say this Halo Infinite flight had a lot of, wait for it, turbulence. You like what I did there? I'm a dad, got dad jokes. A lot of turbulence and a lot of issues. But beyond all that, I truly believe that Halo Infinite will have something to stand on. I really think that Halo Infinite multiplayer, its main draw for me, as someone that remembers playing Halo and Halo 2 way back in the day, to be honest with you, I'm not really a Halo 3 fan or all the other Reach and all that. I kind of bowed out after Halo 2. And also at the same time, surprise, surprise, I'm not really much of a single player kind of guy. When it came to the Call of Duty campaigns, rarely played the Call of Duty campaigns multiplayer. In fact, I haven't even played one in a decade or so. When it comes to the Halo single player, I did play the story of Halo 1 and Halo 2, and like I mentioned, I bowed out after Halo 2. So that's my experience when it comes to the Halo, and most of it is in the multiplayer. And by far, some of my favorite memories of video game history is when I was playing with my best friend, who became my best man, but my best friend hands down, when we were playing part of that split screen online Halo action. And that in itself was wild to be a part of, and just to be able to play online on the same couch, and you're just having a great time saving each other, sniping, getting each other's back, capturing the flag, one person getting that warthog, driving it through, capping it, all those favorite memories. And I think that right there is going to be the main draw for me, recapturing the nostalgia. Now, granted, the game's time to kill is kind of weird. It's a little less, it's different. Okay, it feels like it's definitely a step back to what the games that we're currently playing, like the Apex Legends and things of that sort, or even Splitgate. I would say it feels a little bit better, but there's something about Halo that is completely different from anything out there, and it feels great to finally get into. And what's so interesting to me is that there's a lot of people out there, even my own friends and fellow streamers out there, who did not enjoy Halo Infinite on the PC. A couple of things that they didn't feel right on the mouse and keyboards. I thought it felt great on the mouse and keys myself. I thought it was a phenomenal experience. Now, I have to be real. Like I mentioned at the opening part of it, there is a lot of turbulence, aka lag. There's a lot of hitches. I had to restart my build. I had to turn off my quit to desktop and get back into it, because after a couple of matches, it was starting to start hitching everywhere. Some people believed it was due to memory leak, but it is a concerning sign, considering that this is a whole thing about testing and things of that sort, and is so hitchy. But when it runs, it's really good. And immediately after I started making some plays, I was instantly transported back into the days where I'm playing up all night. I literally, after hearing the music, after getting some good highlights, getting the double kill, triple kill, those kind of moments, you hear that voice and all of a sudden you're just kind of like Ratatouille, It was definitely a Ratatouille moment, and I'm transported back to me being, enjoying the late night game. But now, as a gamer dad, I have so much responsibility that those days are long gone for me. I cannot stay up all night, but I was really tempted to. Really, doing one of those things like, is the missus asleep type vibe, but thankfully, Halo, the 343 studios, they shut the industry studio. They basically shut it off. All right. I was so thankful for the developers for shutting it off and kicking me out of the flight. So shutting down the matchmaking. So by far, really fun experience. I'm thinking that it's going to have some potential in terms of putting a dent into the lexicon or into the gaming drought will hopefully be over by the time, because like I mentioned before in previous podcasts, or if you see me on my Twitch streams, that we're in a gaming drought. There's not a lot of new things to grind as a multiplayer aficionado. And so hopefully that Halo Infinite will fill the void. If you don't know, Halo Infinite is going to be free at launch. You could definitely check it out. You could jump in, and it's going to be available on the Xbox Series X and S, and at the same time, it's going to be available on PC. So there's a lot of good things about it. If you're like trying to read the stocks on it, so to speak, if you're should you invest in it or not, like free to play, check. You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed on how many people come into my stream and go, "Is this game free?" It's not. I'm out. It's like quite wild to me that is a thing, and I get it. I completely understand it. Considering that there is investments into these consoles, into the PCs, into the controllers, into all these different types of things, and to be able to play a game for free, it's amazing. So great on them to be able to have it free to play. The biggest issue that I think by far is that I hope for next week's flight. Again, I was not a part of the first week's flight. This is flight 2. I really believe this system for flights is a really weird way of doing it. You have to access a portal to get your code, to download said code. And it's just really bizarre to me that I don't have it installed, and then that, getting access to it, it just feels very dated in how doing it. And at the same time, the big red flag is this turbulence, is the hitching, is the issues. It just makes it feel surreal to me that a AAA studio doesn't have these issues ironed out. It feels weird for them not to call it an alpha, not to call it a beta, like they're starting their own thing. So it feels like a very markety thing at the same time. But, all that aside, I had a great time with it. I see the virality of the clips. I see the draw as a viewer for it. I see that the weapons feel good. I enjoyed my time in the weapon drill area as well. I enjoyed my time going out there fighting against Spartan bots, and I really enjoyed the matchmaking. There's something about the traditional arena gameplay where you play over pickup loot, and so to speak, the set loot out there. There is a gravity hammer, there's power weapons, there's power abilities like the grapple shot, and then there's so many cool things that you can do. And that when I started getting into the tail end of the flight, I was like, oh, okay, I could do this, I could do that, and then I could kind of swing around. And it's just, once you get into the rhythm of Halo, because when you walk into it, that a lot of people were saying, like, is this a kind of like a game that represents like a Splitgate, right? A Splitgate is more of a evolved type Halo type vibe. And with Splitgate, you kind of have this opportunity where people are saying like, oh, it feels good. It feels like what Halo used to be. And then when they play Halo Infinite, you're just quite surprised that it's not the same. It's like, wait a minute, something's off about this. My shots are not going, the recoil is different, all these things. And I really believe that's just more of, people trying to get used to it again. And I think over time, we'll eventually get to the point where like, okay, I understand this. Hopefully by the next flight after, we will get to a better place. Now, what I really played in Halo Flight 2 was the Slayer 4v4. We only played 2 maps, which is Bazaar, and we played, 3 maps, I'm sorry. Bazaar, Recharge, and Live Charge, I believe, were the 3 maps that I played. I feel like the maps flow really nicely. I think there was a lot of great places to skip grenades, and there's a lot of places to evade if someone shows up on you. If someone starts, shooting at you in terms of surprising, you could definitely go ahead and fight them back. So there's a lot of good things in the Halo Flight 2 that I'm looking forward to the next flight. At the very end of the flight, I'm kind of upset that I missed it, but I was busy on Sunday because they had big team battle and they had a new huge map, and I've seen some of the clips on the internet. I was like, everyone was having a great time. And so I cannot wait to try it for the next flight to see where it goes. So, hey, that is what I'm really looking forward to. I think the main thing about the entire thing is Halo has the opportunity to have a great time, and it's going to really lean on nostalgia. And we're going to have to figure out, there's already a little bit of rumblings out there from other streamers and content creators that it doesn't have that itch because it's missing a battle royale. I'm going to hold on to my thought. I'm going to wait for my judgment, so to speak, once we play the last flight. And you know what? I don't think that this is going to be the last flight. I think we got a lot more work to do until December. But thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate the love. This has been your 10-minute checkpoint podcast. Make sure you leave a positive review wherever you find this here or listening on your podcast services. And of course, leave a comment down below on the YouTube side of things. I appreciate the love. And as always, oh yeah, peace. Later, guys.